Welcome to the Socket podcast. Today we are joined by the one and only Jill Salzman from the Founding Moms.
Hello.
Jill, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for
Hello.
having me. Very excited. Can
You're
you tell?
welcome. Jill and I got connected somehow through this crazy world of social media. I honestly have no idea how we first
I don't
met,
either. I don't
but
either. You came highly recommended to me, young lady. Yeah.
well, thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
As
I
a
appreciate it.
rookie.
And the same to you. I remember the first time I met you was at North Central College when you did that talk for at Wentz Hall.
Yeah.
And we brought a group from the branch. I think we were still Naples Moms Network back then. And we all walked away. We're like, oh, we need more of her. That's what we need. You're a phenomenal speaker.
Thank
I mean,
you.
like,
Thank you.
seriously,
Yeah.
like
Thank you. I love it. I love it.
I know. I'm like, I want to grow up and be Jill Salzman as a speaker one day because I'm
Okay.
okay. You put me in front of like my gang, my group, my networking group. You
Yeah.
put me on a stage of a lot of people and I don't have any notes that I can go off of and I get a little stressed out. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, a lot of years of experience.
yes, yes, yes. So tell us, kind of some cliff notes about yourself.
Yeah. So, yeah, I am Jill and I run the Founding Moms and I help mom entrepreneurs to build better businesses. We, as an organization, have offline masterminds in lots of cities around the world. We have an online platform with every piece of business education you ever needed that are specifically bespoke for mom entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I love what I do. And I love helping this community because we're global. We're in need of lots of things, mostly each other. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and I'm so excited to be talking to you about
Oh, well,
everything.
thank you. Well,
Yeah,
the last time we saw each other, you came to speak at my networking event to a bunch of
did.
moms. So, we both are in that mom space. And man, don't you love being a conduit for great resources and connection?
And it
It's
sounds so hokey, I feel like, when you say it out loud. Like, I love connecting people.
no,
I
it's
love
I get
making
it.
things happen. But it really does feel pretty incredible. And
Yeah.
like, I feel like I'm blessed to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that all these connections happened because of a little idea I had a long time ago. You know
Gosh,
what I mean?
I know. Sometimes people are like, "Well, gosh, how do you do it all?" And I'm like, I am driven by the passion of it.
Yeah.
And so I go through phases where I don't do anything for 2 days, and then I
Mm.
have a day where I do 5 days of work in one day, and I just from the second I get up to the second I go to sleep, and it's such a weird schedule when you're running something that's online. I mean, there's certain things you need to do pretty consistently, but a lot of you can chunk it, right? Chunk the work so that you're
Oh, I
creating
chunk.
content. Yeah, I know you do. I know you do. So Jill sends out a daily email. And I told you this before. I read every single one from front to top. There's no one else that I read this way.
Well, you're making it sound long. I think the reason you do is because it's pretty freaking short. Very
Well,
little.
that's one of the things I like about it. And when you send me a quote from someone, I'm like, sweet, I don't have to read anything more. So every once in a while, it's like a reprieve from having to read just
I
3
know.
paragraphs.
That's why I do it, because I'm a writing reprieve for those of us who write it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm a big
Thank you.
admirer,
Thank you.
and we could use up this whole podcast talking about how much we think the other
We
person is
enjoy each
great.
other.
So
Yeah.
we'll just agree to agree on all
Okay.
that, and,
Okay.
and we can pat
Everything is
ourselves on the
fine.
back.
Yeah.
But what we're actually going to talk about, and this is going to eventually be a part of the 12 elements of health that we have been chatting about. January's element is mindset, as many of you that have been listening along know. And I believe sleep and rest is probably in April. So we'll be kind of pushing this podcast out even more in that month when we are focused on that. But we decided we were going to chat about sleep, the importance of it, how do you get it, what's interrupting it. And Jill, you apparently have had some part of your professional life was tell me about that.
Well, it wasn't part of my professional life. It's very bizarre to be able to say this, but uh, during college, my last year of college, in order to get credit, I went and worked at the sleep lab on campus. It's one of the best sleep
Oh,
labs in the country. It's at Brown University, Providence, Rhode Island, and one of the top sleep researchers in the country, Mary Carskadden, ran it. And there
Okay.
were like 4 people in the lab. So I was like, I want to work with you. I was a bio major. So
Yeah.
I thought I can get away with not doing organic chemistry, uh, studying and working at a sleep lab, which just sounded cool. And I
Yeah.
had a terrible time up until I started working at the sleep lab with sleep.
Mm,
I think that's what attracted me. I just,
yeah.
how do you do this? Because it sucks and I want to kill everyone all day, every day. And I would like to become a better sleeper so I could be a better person. And I learned a lot. I learned
Huh.
a lot.
So, okay, so go back to your youth. So you said you struggled with sleep. So did you like
Fine.
were you up till 3 in the morning? Did you wake up at 2 and you're up for 3 hours? Like what does your version of that mean?
My version is I would struggle to fall asleep most of the time, hours
Yeah.
and hours. My mom had to invent a worry pad that she
Uh,
would leave by my bed so that I could write down my worries. She told me by morning they'd be, resolved by someone else. But very good idea, but it didn't help really.
yeah.
And I couldn't figure out how to fall asleep. You lie in bed and you're just waiting, and no one talked at the age when I was 10 about, well, maybe it's stress related, or maybe
Right.
it's any one of a myriad of things. So I think I don't remember waking up a ton, but it was mostly I'd go to bed to sleep so late that when
Yeah.
I woke up, it felt like 2, 3 hours, and then the whole day just
Yeah, just
you know.
dragging. For me, I struggled to fall asleep as well. I would say I didn't fall asleep in my high school years till between like 12, 1:30, and
Mm,
then the alarm went off at 6. I
yeah.
remember taking a shower and then wrapping myself in my robe. There was like we had a heat lamp in our house, in our bathroom for some reason. I don't even know they make those anymore. But I would literally curl up in like a turtle position with my robe on, with my towel like on top of my head, and I'd fall back asleep in the bathroom because I was so tired. I was
Yeah,
always so
yeah, yeah.
and in my today life, I'm 47 years old. And we can get into this a little bit later, but I sleep really well. I sleep a long time. Like I get probably 8 to 9 hours of sleep per night,
Yes,
which
yes.
is really good. And when people say, "How do you do everything? Like, what's your work-life balance?" I'm like, I sleep a lot because I go, 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 go. And then I'm getting better at relaxing and resting, but I just know I need that restorative sleep. So I've been going to bed a lot early. Like I get in bed at like 9, 8:30, nine
Oh,
thirty. I
no
get
way.
in bed really early these days.
Okay.
But so my sleep is totally different. And I also have created a life for myself where I don't need to be anywhere at 7 a.m. I just don't do well in the morning, like the early morning
Yeah,
hours, just not
yeah.
my favorite.
I don't even
So
schedule anything before 10 a.m. Yes. So
mine's 11.
we
Mine's 11.
are very, very similar in the ways of sleep. And I wanted to, if I could, bust some myths that a lot of people have about sleep,
Yeah,
because I hear them and I find it fascinating that, when you worked in a subject for a long time, you think, well, everybody knows. It's okay.
for
And no
sure.
one seems to know things like basics, like the temperature in the room. Everybody thinks the hotter, the better. And that actually is awful for you. And 68 degrees sounds freezing.
Yeah.
Your body loves it. Your body loves to fall asleep in cooler than hotter.
Yeah.
If you're like, I can't sleep, and it's always 90 degrees in the bedroom, right there,
They
boom, you're healed.
Yeah,
Uh,
we have
yeah,
our air set at 64 or 65 at night. Maybe that's why I sleep so well.
that's probably a really big contributing factor.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
And my favorite one to tell people, because everybody reads different things about this, because I love that magazine writers are suddenly experts on sleep. Uh, when, in order to feel replenished and good every day, it's not about the number of hours you get. It is to the degree that like you can't sleep 2 hours every night.
Right.
It's not about the hours or catching up. Your body does not, that's not a thing. You have to go to bed at the same time every night.
Mm.
So if you are a 9 p.m. person, which I'm shocked, I can't imagine. I have a sister, no children. She gets in bed at like 8 o'clock. I never understand that.
It's
But
no, it's earlier in the winter months. I mean, when the time change happens, there are days at 5:15 where it's dark out and I'm like, Is it when's the earliest we can get into bed? And I don't fall asleep I do like a half hour TV and then turn it off and I do a meditation.
So, but here's why I'm saying this is because, by the way, you're like the healthiest faller to sleeper I've ever heard about. But like when you say, I'm really good at sleeping, I get 8 to 10 or whatever your hours are, and I go to bed at 9, other people hear it and go, oh no, I'm not going to bed at 9. And it's not about the time.
Yeah.
If you go to bed at 2 a.m., go to bed at 2 a.m., but do it at the same time every night. So the whole weekend thing screws us all up.
Right.
Because
Right.
then you want to stay up a little later, you're going out to a thing, and then you have to catch up again. So a lot of people won't sleep for a few days or won't sleep very much.
Yeah.
Then they'll think, okay, Saturday, I'm going to sleep till noon, catch up on all the sleep. And your body is going, WTF, I can't deal. Because the catch up thing, I don't know who made that up.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like, well, I mean, when you're dehydrated, you can kind of drink more water, right? And kind of catch that up a little bit.
yes,
But
yeah.
but yeah, sleep, I don't know. I mean, you need that restorative sleep. Your cells need it, your
You
muscles.
feel better. No, you feel
Yeah.
better after a long haul. But then I think what a lot of people don't realize is 2 or 3 days out from that, you feel jet lagged. Like
Mm,
it's just not right until you get back into the regularity.
yeah.
So those are my two favorites from the sleep lab. Also, when you said I couldn't fall asleep till 12 or 1, the
Yeah.
lab I worked in specialized in teenagers' sleep.
Yeah.
So all she did was study what's going on with teens. And by the end of my year at the lab, it was sort of like she would publish study after study showing that the hormones change from elementary, middle school to high school such that you have to stay up later as a teenager and your body wants to sleep. It just shifts your sleep schedule. So
Yeah.
she was petitioning school systems to say, you're doing it wrong. Don't get the kids up at 6 and 7. Teenagers need to sleep in. They need to stay up later. And a lot of parents fight this, get in bed, it's 8 o'clock or whatever time, or 10 o'clock or whatever high schoolers are going to bed. But you have to, and unfortunately, if your school system is a 6 or 7 or 8 a.m. start time, right now it just sucks.
Yeah.
Your kids
Well,
gonna have a hard time falling asleep.
I've seen some of my friends, as you know, most people have been home. I know we're kind of getting back in where we live in Illinois. We're getting back into going back into person. I don't know what your school district's doing, but anyway, I have a number of friends who, because the kids haven't had to be online sometimes till like 8:30, and they used to have to get up at 6, shower, get ready, on the bus or drive to school and be there by 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
That they're thriving on this because they can get into more of that natural rhythm. And I always thought I hated getting up that early. I now, like this morning, I woke up at about 4:45 and I got out of bed at 5:15. I'm watching Call the Midwife. It's a really good show, actually. Yeah, it's a little intense, but it's funny and it's
Wait,
poignant.
you wake up and you watch Call the Midwife?
I did this morning because Jason wasn't up, right? He was still sleeping. And normally we get up around the same time. And I was a little bit earlier. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch 2 of those shows. And then I got like 4 hours of work done. And then I laid down, did a meditation for 40 minutes.
Good for you.
And then got back up. I didn't sleep. I just get into this really restful state. If I feel tired, I can turn on a meditation, get in bed, put a big pillow over my head, and just get into like that like Zen mode.
Yeah.
I've gotten better at that.
That's awesome. And in fact, yeah, speaking to that, I don't know as much about meditation. We didn't study that at all.
Yeah.
But naps. A lot of people love naps. A lot of people hate naps and never nap.
Yeah.
I'm a never napper. But I am married to a guy who loves the nap. But he uses them incorrectly because he will stay up until 3 or 4 to get work done and then think or rationalize, it's okay, because tomorrow I'll nap in the middle of the day and I'll keep going. Right. And if you nap longer than 20 minutes, you screw the whole thing up. And also, you can't use naps as an excuse. Like that, Thomas Edison was famous for napping like every 2 hours or something for 20 minutes. He like never went to bed. He just napped.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that sounds like you don't get into REM sleep or whatever the cycles of sleep are.
Now, he was a really good inventor, so like maybe that was amazing for his brain. I don't know. And I try not to judge now, because when people are like bragging about, yeah, my kids drive me crazy and I finally have me time and I only get like 4 hours a night and I'm fine. You're not fine. Your brain is not healed. Your lymphatic system's healing time is when you go to sleep.
Yeah.
So you need a lot of sleep. And some people are 5 to 6 hours. Some
Yeah.
people are 7 to 8, and some people are 8 to 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. That's just how I'm a late bird. I'm not an early bird.
Yes.
So unfortunately,
Okay.
I like to go to bed at 12 or 1.
Yeah.
And if I can, sleep till 9 or 10. Thank you
I
very much.
used to be that way. And Jason is a go to bed earlier type of guy. And so I think, in previous years, there used to be a little bit more wine in my life, I have to admit. And so when I had a little more wine in my life, I would just get rolling and
Yeah.
I'd be up later. And then I'd wake up at 3 in the morning and be like, it wasn't like hungover, drunk type of stuff, just the
No,
sugar, right? I mean, sugar.
one glass
What
of
about
wine,
sugar?
but one glass of wine interrupts your circadian rhythms.
Mm,
So I think a lot of moms, particularly, end the day and they're like, I'm gonna have a glass of wine,
I know.
and it helps you fall to sleep quicker.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, because it helps me sleep, but it doesn't. It helps you fall asleep quicker, and then it interrupts so many times in the night that you're not aware of, that
Yeah.
you wake up feeling like I got no sleep.
Yeah.
And I wish I could impart to people, I know it's delicious, but save yourself because you feel so much better.
So
And I
much
think
better.
for you, Cathy, like you get so much work done in those 4 hours because you sleep well, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah. I get up, like sometimes I get up and I'm like, oh, it's one of those days. I know it. I can feel it.
Mm.
And some days I wake up and I think I'm going to do a lot of work and I'm like, it's not today.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
do something more restful. I'll do something, I'll listen to a podcast or I'll read a book or I'll do something where I'm not having to use my brain quite as much. But
Yeah.
and I have, I feel like it's a luxury, but I've intentionally created the luxury to have a life where I get to choose when I do what for the most part, right? I still have, shifts at the practice. And those are the days I feel like I'm working the most, even though I love what I do as a chiropractor. You talked about lymphatics. I just brought on another massage therapist that used to work for me, and she just came back to work for me, and she's certified in manual lymphatic drainage.
Oh,
And so I'm super excited about that because I don't know all that much about it. We get requests for it, and we have, you have to be very specifically specialized and trained in that.
okay.
But it's pretty fascinating.
It is. It's all so fascinating. But the part that it's kind of like entrepreneurship. Like you can't see how it works until you're in it,
Yeah.
but you can't even see how the sleep stuff works because you're literally in it. Like you can't watch yourself sleep.
Right.
You only can feel the effects afterwards. So you kind of have to trust the science.
Yeah. Right.
And
Well, sorry, I was going to bring up sugar, like actual, like, I know alcohol has sugar in it, but like Jason, you sometimes gets a little snacky. Sorry if you're listening, babe. But and he'll rile through some sugar. And he did that for a really long time. And then we both were like, all right, we've got to cut the snacks out. Like we're getting too snacky at night. And
okay.
and so we really reduced it and changed what we were eating at night. And his sleep got so much better. Like in 3 days, it was like, bam. He's like, I've never slept this well. And he would sleep mostly through the night, where he used to be up for an hour or two every night. He'd go downstairs and, just be kind of up. And the sugar, do you know anything more about that?
You know what? The only thing I know is that we are supposed to kind of like bears go into hibernation overnight. So if
Yeah.
you are somebody who eats a big dinner right before bed, or you get up at midnight because your body's hungry, I've heard this a lot. You're essentially then feeding a different part of your system that your sleep cycles do not bother with. So
Yeah.
it's not the same as interrupting the cycles. Like literally, alcohol wakes you up, even though you don't remember it. It like completely shuts down the cycle you're in. I don't know if food
If sugar does.
completely does the same thing or if sugar does.
Yeah.
However, I wouldn't be surprised if it does. But it also makes your digestive system go into play. Like it starts up, and then your body's not doing all of the healing that is what sleep is for.
Yeah. Well, and it's all part of our autonomic nervous system. Right? My chiropractor brain in me, you got our, the sympathetics and parasympathetics. And
Yeah.
the autonomic nervous system is the part of the nervous system that is basically it controls everything that we don't have to think about, right? We chew food. We're not saying to our release the acid now, stomach, do it, small intestine, we're not
roll call. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so when one system is in use, other ones are depressed. And so I think that was kind of the thought process between like, if you eat a meal, remember way back when you weren't allowed to get in the pool for like 30 minutes or something?
I still do that. Is that okay now? I don't want to throw up in front of other people.
Is that what it is? It's throwing up. I never understood it. You know what? I'm going to have to research this and
I was
I'll,
gonna say, because I never have, but I did on a tennis court after lunch when I was 7.
well, but tennis is really different than,
No, I was not running around. I leaned over to pick up a ball. You must have had too much to eat that lunch. Yeah, but I don't swimming. That's a lot of action. That's a lot of, ooh, oh no. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know.
so what's your like pre-bed routine? Are you like, we are, there's Friends or Big Bang or Young Sheldon on. That's, we plug into one of those because you don't need to pay attention. Right. And we can watch from 9:45, right, let's say 9:15 to 9:45 and get half an episode and half an episode and still shut it off because we've seen them. So we're not tied to, we've got to watch a whole episode.
Yeah.
And then Jason's already asleep. And then I put my earbuds in and I have the Breathe app. I talk about it so much. I think people are going to think I'm getting paid by Breathe. I'm not. I just love it so much. I've been
Huh.
just doing, I like today on my nap, it was like I wrapped in a cozy blanket or something. Some people might think it's a little cheesy. It like took you back to visualizations of like being cozy as a baby. And then,
It
as
might
you're
be
growing
cheap,
up,
but if it works, it works.
it's nice. It's nice. You can listen to like river sound. Oh, I just turned it on. It's now all right. Go to sleep.
Or are we all gonna? Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, no, I don't do that.
What's yours?
I don't usually in bed we find a good movie. Something that we'll watch
Yeah.
intentionally, not to lull us to sleep. And then it's so dorky. Then we do a crossword.
You do?
Uh,
You go from movie to now. Do you have the lights on still when you watch a
so
movie?
we're big on the blue blockers. These are not blue
Okay.
blockers, but
Yeah.
we have blue blocker glasses so the light doesn't, keep us awake. And I think all of this, by the way, you and I are doing it wrong because you're not supposed to look at screens before bed.
I
You're
know.
supposed to plug your phone in outside of the room, get in
Yeah.
bed,
I don't
read
do any of that.
something. But we want to do it jointly, and we need screens, so we do that, and then I don't know. It's sort of like we're good
Just
to go. We're here, boom, done.
now,
We're
are
out.
you like a quick, like if you're on a plane, can you fall asleep?
Oh no, oh no,
Oh gosh.
no, not. I'm a never napper. Remember,
Oh,
I
I,
can't and I don't want to and I don't understand the point because I think from working in the sleep lab I've grown a bunch of fears and one of them
mm,
is but if I fall asleep now and I sleep for 20 or oops it's 30 minutes it's going to screw up my nighttime cycles. And so I don't do it because I want to have the solid night of sleep.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
So
I mean, sometimes it's like, let's say it's a Saturday. I used to work every Saturday at the practice and, I get up a little earlier than I wanted to. I don't know why. Saturdays are like our earliest day, which seems ridiculous. I don't work Saturdays anymore. I'm very thankful for that. But anyway, and I would go eat lunch afterwards and then I would go home and it was I would take like a 2-hour nap and it was the most delicious thing ever. I loved it. Oh, it was so
see,
good.
I'm having like fears for you. That like then what happens at night? Are you going to fall asleep? Then you're not going to get enough sleep. I just don't. It drives me crazy. So no, I stay away. But I have a lot of energy, so I'm good on the 8 to 10. I'm good, and I all day. Let's just do this. Yeah,
So
and I also on airplanes I can't fall asleep because if the pilot needs me, I'm ready.
oh, well, that's good because the pilot does need people every once in a while. My funniest sleeping on a plane story is I had a 6, 7, 8 month old, my oldest. I believe I was already pregnant with my second one because I just did
Okay.
things fast back then, and I guess things have never. I still do things fast.
Yeah.
But anyway, I nursed him, but I also had formula just in case. We supplemented a little bit with formula, and I figured on the plane if I needed to get a bottle ready. So he starts getting fussy. And so I get my bag and I realize I had like a little container of segmented four areas so that you could pour
Sure.
one area in and make a bottle. Well, it was empty. Of course, I didn't fill it up because sometimes my brain doesn't work. And so I brought a whole container of formula And I opened it. And so I opened up the plastic lid, and then it's got that like silver lid that you've got to open up. And
Mhm.
I didn't really take plain pressure into consideration. And so I pull open this lid and it goes, pow.
Oh no.
I am coated
Oh
in
no.
formula. And
Nightmare.
I'm like, and
Nightmare.
my husband, I'm married at the time. My husband looks at me, the baby's crying. And I'm
Mm.
like, all right, laugh or cry, pick a lane. So I start laughing, right? I'm like, oh my God, look at this, right? So people are giving me, towels to try to get this shit off of me. And all of a sudden from behind me, I hear, ah, what, what, what's on me? And I turn around, there's this businessman in a three-piece suit that had been sleeping. And the, the formula shot so hard that it went through a crack in the
Oh,
seat. And he had a skunk line of formula. He had dark hair. And it shot so hard that it literally was still.
oh my God.
And then he yelled at me about, here I am, I'm coated with a crying baby. Now I felt
I
bad.
wish you had said to him, it wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. It must be someone else near you. Yeah. Oh, that's a terrifying story. Yeah.
I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm now trying to give him the napkins people have given me. And he's like, it's called pressure. It's called plain pressure. Look it up next time.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so I wish you well, gentlemen, if you're ever listening to my
If you're watching
socket, if
this,
you're happy to be listening to a
yeah,
socket podcast, but how to live a happier life, then
yeah, yeah.
just you
We're still
terrorize
mad
me.
at you. Yeah,
So
right.
anyway, so what do you like prep for sleep? As far as like, are there things that you do to try to get better sleep, or do you feel like you naturally get good enough sleep?
The prepping I do is I try not to have alcohol before I go to bed.
Yeah.
I try to eat far earlier than I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
supposed to like stop like hours before you go to bed.
you are? I
Yeah,
mean,
I've read that so many times, like 3 or 4 hours before you go to sleep.
that's because you're starting that hibernation
I
thing. So
know.
you don't have to, but if you don't, it's not as restful. Like you don't wake up as
Yeah.
replenished. All this stuff we're saying is like suffering the night before, but you feel so good the next day that really my goal is to be so well slept that I feel so good that I don't want to ruin it the next night, you know? So the
Yeah.
only prep I do is I try to eat earlier, no alcohol.
Yeah.
Uh, Here and there, I'll throw in a pair of earplugs. Just
Yeah.
knock out the world so I don't hear anything. No children, no breathing, no nothing. Uh, Otherwise, no. That's pretty much the
That's
only
pretty much
prep
it.
I do.
Do you
Yeah,
remember the early years with babies where you just didn't get sleep?
nothing.
It
Army sergeant. I felt like I was going through a war.
it is just unbelievable. I have a doctor that works for me, and she just had a baby a couple months ago, and I mean, she's exhausted.
Yeah.
And she actually had to leave my practice to go to a different practice that's closer to her parents' house because she was going to have to drive 4 hours to like
Oh,
drive the baby to the parents' house to come to my practice, then drive back and pick him up. And I was like, Claire, you can't do that. There's no way. So
right.
she magically found this job that's 5 minutes from her parents' house. They're going to move 5 minutes away from her parents. She's going to be in her little, triangular nook. I'm like, oh, it's going to be
Yeah,
so much better.
yeah,
But
that's a
she's
lot
like,
better.
yeah, we're not sleeping. It's just
No,
such
but what's nice about that story is she knew enough, and I'm sorry you lost her, but
yeah,
she knew enough to make it a little bit less stressful on her
yeah,
that so that she just like her sleep is actually probably slightly better because she has less worries.
yes,
Which, by the way, to fully answer your question, the best prep we all do is getting rid of the stress before you go to sleep.
yeah,
So, like, from we're not going to argue and then leave it at that, we're going to resolve the argument if you're in a relationship, all the way to one of my grad school professors taught me you can be stressed or you can be tired, but you can't be both. So he was
mm,
encouraging everybody if you work out quite a bit, and not meaning like just stay up 3 nights and then you'll be exhausted, uh, but working out to the point where you're physically tired, you'll be
yes.
less stressed. I mean, for a variety of reasons, but
Yeah. Well, and physical movement, that's one of my other elements that'll be coming
yeah,
your way later this year. But physical movement, I mean, it's so our bodies are not meant to sit
no,
for 10 hours a day,
But
right?
then lie down for the other.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, ergonomically and functionality, that's I made up a word.
I like
Um,
it.
yeah, thank you. I just go with it, right?
Yeah.
We're not meant to live the way we're not meant to be staring at a computer screen. A lot
Right.
of my patients that have some, like, I'm going to call them semi-chronic issues, they're like, why do I get this? I'm like, because we don't live life the way we're supposed to, right? Our food
No,
sources are not what they need to be, right? That we don't rest soil every 7 years. We don't rotate crops. We
I
don't
don't even know what that means. Don't answer. But I agree.
we don't drink enough water. What's in our water?
Yeah.
What chemicals are we taking in? They
Right.
spray shit on our wheat, it's all, and then what we do is we just sit and we don't get I always say our bodies want hunting and gathering days.
Yes. Yes.
They want, I
Movement.
mean, not the inequality between men and women. We're not going to go there. So we don't want that, but we don't
Right.
want to go backwards. We're
Although
going
I did read something recently about how they're revising history because they've discovered that women were also hunters.
really.
I might have read some gossip on a gossip rag, but I do think they are just starting to realize that women were also hunting.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because women rock.
I kind of read it and went, yeah, duh.
Yeah, there was something. Oh, you sent it to me. Um, it was Beethoven, Mozart, composer, the piano woman.
Yeah, she's the woman who made the pianos. She was the inventor of the pianos that, oh my goodness, now that you've said all those names, I'm like, is it Beethoven or
Yeah,
Bach? I think whoever just had a 350th
Mozart.
birthday. No, it wasn't Mozart. I think it
Okay.
was a B.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not plugged in
I
enough to
want to say it
compare.
was Bach, but I'm not sure. But
Okay.
either way, she was the inventor of a lot of newer pianos with bigger ranges, and she created stuff for him.
Yeah.
And then her husband got all the credit because
Right.
it was his company. Yeah.
Oh, see, and so I'm in this group run by Anita Knotts, and she has this transform group, which is all about helping women rise. Right?
Mhm.
Let's all. She's in the financial services industry, but let's make sure women are taking care of themselves, like even financially. She's like, there's a really large chance that you're going to be a single person, either by divorce or being widowed, or and
Yeah.
be in control of money.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a side note, but I shared it with her. I don't know what this has to do about sleep, but
You know
anyway.
what? I like it though. It was a
Yeah.
good little segue into how women
Well,
are awesome.
yeah, women.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we should talk about all this. That's what every podcast should be
Yeah.
about, is how awesome women are. But you go back to stress, and I shared this a couple of times. I have figured out the way I compartmentalize if I'm going through something stressful. Number one, I need to have a notebook, or I can take things on on my phone. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I literally just text myself 4 sentences because something's rolling around in my brain.
Yeah.
And if I can just get it here or write it down on a piece of paper,
Mhm.
um, then I can just get it out of my brain.
Yeah.
But my big way of compartmentalizing going through really tough times is what I call my Theraball technique. And I made this up in my head when I was going through my divorce, because we were going through a divorce. I was going through a bankruptcy. I was losing my home. It was a train wreck of a 2-year process. So, but I didn't want to make my whole life miserable. I wanted to make sure that I could still find joy, still find happiness. And so I have Theraballs. Do you know what those big exercise balls are? You sit on, you do crunches.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we have them in the office. So one day I'm sitting on one of them, and I don't know, I just came up with this kind of like, this is all in my head, but that I could take each of the problems that I was going through, compartmentalize them, and put them in little bubbles. So kind of I had, all right, dealing with my ex-husband, I've got 2 young children, I have no money. What am I going to do with my practice? All these things. And I would put them in these little bubbles. And then in my mind, I would take those bubbles and I would put them inside the Theraball. So now all of my problems that exist, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm not denying that they exist or sticking my head in the sand. I'm just saying I am going to put them in this little bubble. Right now, I'm not dealing with it. And then
Mm.
I'm going to sit on it. So that took all of the stress that was all kind of hanging over my head. And now I'm sitting on top of it instead of it sitting on top of me.
Yeah.
And if I say, okay, I'm going to go meet with my lawyer today, I can pull out my divorce bubble and I can crack it open and give it 15 minutes and think about it and grieve and do all the things that you do when you go through that. And then I would always say, if is there anything I can do right now to
Mm.
make this better? And if the answer is no, I put the ball back together and I put it back in the Theraball. So I do that when I'm going through rough times where
I
I try to, there's different versions of that. I've seen
No,
different,
that's really helpful. I might have to try that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it's really powerful because sometimes it just feels like the weight of the world, especially this 2020. There was some heaviness, right? And if you let that stuff get on top of you and you don't have a way out from it, I mean,
Yeah.
our mental health, physical health, sleep.
And you're just talking about it now helps other people to acknowledge, to realize. And I want to throw in everybody needs to make sure you share with other people the stresses
Yeah.
that are going on. Because getting it off your chest literally is a way to de stress,
Yep.
and using the Theraball system.
The Theraball system. I know. I
I
should
like
coin
that.
it.
Yeah, totally.
I
Yes.
I definitely think that it's something that's so powerful and raising your hand. Sometimes when social media was kind of early on and I would go through something and I would just post away. I'm a really open person because in my opinion,
Yeah.
someone's got to raise their hand. Someone has to say, yeah, see, you do it too. You're
Doing it now. I don't even know why. What are we doing? Yeah.
or someone's got to raise their hand and
Yeah.
say, I'm going through this.
Yeah.
And the messages that I get from people from the branch, from the practice, from Socket, of the messages that go out, we do newsletters for all of them once a week. It always, the ones I get back are from people saying, thank you so much. I'm going through the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And that's been helpful. And I'm sure you get that too.
Yeah. It's so helpful for everybody.
So we're doing our part to, put the good stuff out in the world, try to help people, raise our hands, say, yeah, we're going through the crap too. Pretty
Yeah.
cool, huh?
It is totally cool. It is so lucky to be doing what we're doing.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
I just,
And a lot of hard work, but we're still here.
oh yeah, definitely a lot of hard work,
A
but
lot of hard work, a lot of sleep. Yes.
absolutely. Yeah. But that's what, yeah, for sure. That ties it all up.
Yeah.
Miss Jill, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
I would love for them to get a hold of me because obviously I love building community. We are foundingmoms.com online, but I'm at Founding Mom everywhere,
Yep.
everywhere.
All
I
the
have every
handles.
social media handle. Some places we're also Founding Moms. I think just Insta and Facebook. Maybe Twitter too. I don't know. Come say
Yeah,
hi.
you type it in, it'll come up.
Say hi. I'm Jill at foundingmoms.com. Let's talk more about sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Love, yeah.
And you can find me at simplysocket.com. My email is Cathy at simplysocket, and all the handles are simply socket. We keep it easy. So,
Beautiful.
well, thank you so much for coming on. I
Thanks for
love
having me.
chatting
This
about
was awesome.
all
Yeah.
this stuff. I mean,
All
again,
this stuff. I hope some people get good sleep tonight.
yes, yeah, yep, all the things. Sleep is so important. So
Yeah.
there's lots of steps you can take to make it as good as it can be for you. So, all right, Jill, well, you have a great day. And
Thank
to everyone else, thanks for tuning in.
you. Bye.